Yo, 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 welcome to another installment, another episode of Dropping the Soap with me, my boy Junior. What's up, man? How you doing today, bro?
What's up, bro? I'm doing cool. Same old, same old. You know what I'm saying? Nothing changes in prison.
Nothing changes, it's all the same stuff.
All the same shit, bro.
Man, that's sad, bro. That's
Living,
actually sad.
I'm living it up in Disneyland, going through inflation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, man, all the canteen prices are rising or what?
Shit, everything's going up. It's crazy over here right now, bro. It's hectic.
That sucks, man. That sucks, man. Um,
Bro, what's new,
well,
man? What's going
well, I was gonna say we got some likes. We have a question for you from Haley is perfect on on the podcast. So if you want, I think that's what I'll start it off with today. It's a loaded
on? Yeah.
question, bro. It's a loaded question.
All right, what's
It's
up,
a
bro? Give
loaded
me.
question. All right, so I'm gonna read it right here. It goes It has been said that you feel like you might deserve all of the bad things that have happened to you while you were in prison. But do you feel like the prison system needs work or can improve in any way? If so, how and what benefits would stem from said changes? I told you it was loaded. It's a loaded question, bro.
Is that person wearing a suit and tie with glasses while he's asking the question?
Right? It's a good question, bro. It's
Damn. Okay, well, damn, that's a thinker. Well, I would say this, right? Like, coming to prison and being in here with like, I would say, well, obviously a bunch of criminals, convicted criminals. Our thought process was different than, especially mine, is different than what it was back then. So prison has provided us with groups with a lot of positive things in here. So that teaches us a different way of thinking. So our old thinking is left behind. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So I would say for now the prison system it's doing a lot to help us change so we can get that message out there. So
definitely.
I would say this. Let's use me and you as an example, right? So say me and you come to prison for the same crime at the same time, and we get out at the same time.
Right.
You go to a place where there's nothing positive going on. It's just bad, 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 bad.
Right.
Gang activity going on in the prison system, drugs, cell phones, a whole bunch of
Sure.
shit.
Yeah.
But when you get out, you're relaying that message to everybody who's around you. Oh man, this dude got stabbed in the fucking neck, and this is and that. So that's the story you're telling, right? So you're spreading that message to everybody who's listening to you. So you might also be saying like, "Oh, prison's not that bad. Prison's not that bad."
Right.
But not everybody around you gets that, listens to that, and hears that. Oh, you know what? Prison's not that bad. My boy was over there stabbing the fuck out of somebody, drinking wine in his cell,
Yeah.
living it
Yeah.
up. You know what I mean? It's not that bad. So now I go to a different place where now the prison system is teaching me and giving me the tools to change, so I don't create that same pattern that you created. So now when I get out, I'm leaving out a different message. Like, nah, man, you can't go to prison. You missed out on this. You missed out on that. So what's going on? Oh, your father's not there. Here, let me give you some tools on how to make that better for you. And
Right.
prison now has provided us with that, with groups, with self help groups, and it's given me a better line of communication with my family. And I would say like the most thing that has to change in here is the relationship between inmates and COs, because a lot of COs still see us as pieces of shit. You know what I'm saying? And some
Right.
treat us that way. Some still treat us that way. So when you put on
Sure.
this blue shirt, damn, I don't even have my blue shirt. But when you put on a blue shirt that says CDCR inmate in the back, it
Right.
changes. You no longer feel like a human being. You feel like just, you know what I'm saying, you feel like a piece of meat. And sometimes they treat you that way, and you start feeling that way. And then, so I would say that's what has to change, and it'll create a bigger impact for when it gets out. The ripple effect will change. So now the recidivism rate can start dropping, because obviously the lock them up and throw away the keys hasn't worked, because
Right.
California has 30 prisons. You know what I'm saying? Like other countries don't even have. Bro, there's the people from Norway. In Norway, their whole prison system consists of how many inmates are in this prison? 3,000 inmates. That's
Right.
their whole. That's a whole fucking country. And California has 31 more prisons
I
like
think
that.
I seen that on 60 Minutes too about Norway. Some of the they have like keys to their cells or something. They can like leave and like
Yeah.
yeah, how their system's like a lot more focused on the rehabilitation
Yes.
aspects of it. And so yeah, I think there's such a stigma there too that I think you guys have to adhere to because when they put that shirt on you that says you're a CDCR inmate, you start walking around and you start feeling that way, especially when they start treating you that way. I feel like it creates something in I guess in your mindset that is, man, I am kind of just an inmate. I am kind of just a prisoner. You know what I'm saying? And
Sure. Sure.
I'm glad that they're focusing on groups at least where you're at. But I think to kind of piggyback off the question too, I think something that could improve is on those other yards, on in those other places where they're not running groups, where they're not focusing on rehabilitation factors. That's what they could do to improve the system. And to doing that would change the mindset. Doing that would change your mindset. It would change the way you perceive the world, and it would change when you get out, right? Because now you have this narrative where you're sharing positive views with other people, and people are like, "Oh man, this guy's really changed. He's really being rehabilitated." And then you're talking about the relationships between you and the COs. I mean, if the COs would start treating you like human beings and not just like an inmate, I feel like that would drastically change your mindset. It would drastically make you wake up and feel like, man, I'm not just stuck in this hole, another day, another, like, you're like kind of can feel like a citizen, I guess. So yeah, that's pretty profound, bro.
And that message gets spread around to the youth. You know what I'm saying? Like how many youth out there, or I'll just use me as an example. I didn't really have that many good examples growing up. You know what I mean? So I didn't have that person that could sit down and talk to me and be like, look, this is the path you're going to. This is what happens because this is what happened to me. This is what I lived through. Like you're in here, and people in prison who've been in here, their wives have died, their parents have died, their children have died, and they lived through the struggle. So you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I didn't have that, so I wish I would have. But obviously, I'm here now, so now it's on me to carry that torch and to continue to spread that message that there is a different way to live your life other than what some music may portray, some movies may portray. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not cool. It's not cool walking around with a gun down the street. That shit ain't cool.
Yeah. See, and that's something that, like, your mentality has obviously changed in that. And I know you talked about some of the things you just mentioned, some of the things about your childhood. Do you want to talk a little bit more about like like how were you raised, bro? I know we touched on Clarence's story pretty deeply, but we haven't really talked about you that much. Like, how were you raised, and how do you feel like the way that you were raised eventually led you to be incarcerated? Like, how do you feel? Like, if you want to touch bases on that a little bit.
Yeah. Damn, definitely. Clarence's story is definitely a hard toucher, man. Yeah, he's well, I was born in Salinas, and my parents were immigrants. My mom, my dad, my first generation, they came over here. My mom had no family over here. My dad was separate. My dad had his family over here. So I like categorize my childhood in three different categories of my four corners. I call that my four corners. My first from the time I was born till the time I was about 7, almost 8. That's when my parents were married. We lived together. Everything seemed like I was in those four corners. You know what I mean? Like everything was like lovely to me as a kid. Everything was lovely to me because I suppressed all the bad memories. Like my dad was my dad was very abusive. My mom was very she was an immigrant. She had me when she was 17. I was her second kid. She had me when she was 17. My mom didn't. We were children raised by traumatized children. So some of their traumas came onto us, and they really didn't know how to raise us, especially my dad. And I'm only speaking for myself because I wouldn't like to speak on my brothers and my sisters because I don't know how they feel about me putting their stuff out here. But at that time of my childhood in my four corners, I had my older sister and my 2 younger brothers, and I idolized my dad. My life kind of revolved around him. My image, everything that I liked revolved around whether he approved or he disliked. If he wanted me to be a certain way, that's the way I wanted it. That's the way because that's where I found my happiness. And you know what I'm saying? Like I found my happiness in making my dad proud. And damn, I'm telling you now, bro. My dad is lucky as hell. I wasn't born to grow because I'd be on that strip pole right now with 4 different baby daddies.
Yeah,
but daddy elsewhere.
That's funny, actually. Yeah.
No, I always looked for my father's approval.
Yeah.
So everything was based around him. My grades, the way I acted, the way I talked, the way I dressed, the way I played soccer, there's not many things that I did not do for myself because I didn't know how to do them for myself. My dad disapproved, I disapproved it, and I tossed it to the side. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom.
Sure.
She tried to raise 4 kids. She cooked, she cleaned. She was the typical stay-at-home Mexican housewife.
Right.
So my mom was not she was not in my life in the disciplinary way as because my dad was also very abusive to her.
Right.
And I can't recall my dad being that abusive to my younger brothers or my sister. With my sister, he was more like, "Oh, you weren't born a man, so you're not my daughter." You know what I'm saying? Like that's the kind of man my dad is. He's like very old school Mexican machismo type of stuff where the wife home, and my son is supposed to carry my name on, and my son is supposed to make me proud. So that very much fell on me. So I carried that with me everywhere, school, and um. So uh, my mom and my dad ended up getting divorced. It wasn't a divorce. It was more like So
Like this.
my dad used to beat my mom for 12 years. She was my mom was domestic violence. So my mom finally got tired of it, called the police on him. So when my dad goes to jail, he starts telling me lies. You know what I'm saying? He starts telling me like, "Hey, your mom's a fucking whore. She's a fucking liar. I really didn't. I never hit her. I never laid a finger on her. I love your mom. I love your family. She's separating our family." So as impressionable as I was as a kid, I latched onto my dad and I looked at my mom as, you know what I'm saying, my mom is evil. My mom is a fucking hoe.
Yeah.
That's what led up to all that, man. That's
Dang,
why
bro.
I
That's
can't be a girl. Obviously, we'll keep touching up on it and we'll keep going on it. And but that's
that's
just the
sad, bro.
tip
I
of the
think
iceberg.
I know we only have like 40 seconds left, but that's pretty sad, bro. Like that's such a deep story, man. I think one of the things that you said that kind of stuck out with me, and I'm probably gonna paraphrase the quote, but I want to write that down, man. You were a victim raised by victimized parents, you know, and I think that was like to me that was like, dude, that was so like that was such a real statement that you made, especially after explaining, you know, your childhood and your life story, man. But yeah, dude, I think that
Part one, bro. This is part one. We got to get part two. We got to get part two down.
yeah, let's dive into to the next episode, and I want to discuss a little bit more about divorce and all that stuff. But man, if you guys like our content, like, subscribe, dropping the soap.
Bye.
Bye.